What's up, everybody? In this video, I'm going to share some random thoughts that I have about Funko in 2023. I'm going to get into my least favorite pops, some of my favorite pops, and some other things that happened with the company throughout the year. Of course, I am just sharing my own personal opinions. I'm not trying to speak for anybody else, and I'm not going to try to cover every single thing that happened with Funko in 2023. I do that with the news videos. So again, these are just going to be some random thoughts that I have about Funko in 2023. So there was a Scare Fair event that happened with Hot Topic, and this actually coincided with the release of the New York Comic Con figures. The Scare Fair, I like the idea. This is something that I want to see continue. I really hope that horror continues to get more love from Funko, and I think it is a good idea to actually have an event of some exclusives with Hot Topic, because for the most part, they're going to be pretty easy to get. I did have some issue with, some of these figures here, though. So these are my least favorite figures of the year. And there's a Scare Fair figure here to start off with, Michael Behind Hedge. I do not think that this figure was very well executed. It's a great idea because it is an iconic moment from a iconic movie. But the mask is the issue. You can see the skin around the eyes, which right away just makes it look a little bit awkward. But especially if you see a side view of this figure, you see that the Michael Myers mask is not done properly. It's just right on his face. And that's not the way that Michael Myers mask is. It covers his whole head. So yeah, the design just didn't quite work here. And to me, it kind of ruined this pop to a certain extent. If somebody decided to pick it up, I don't blame you at all. But for me personally, I think that just did not work. There's also the Chucky Tiffany mashup figure from the Bride of Chucky. I don't really understand why they decided to mash the characters up that way. I do kind of get the black and white, variant, because if you think about the Bride of Chucky poster, the characters were in black and white. They did keep the color with the eyes in the poster, though. That would have been nice with the figure. But again, mashing these two characters up together, I just don't quite understand that. I felt like it was kind of a waste of a selection for, this Scare Fair. And, I am a fan of the Killer Clowns as well. If you follow my channel, of course, you know that. And I think I have every Killer Clowns figure that has been produced thus far. I am seeing an issue with these figures, though I addressed this in a video a couple weeks back, maybe a few months back. And it's a scale issue. So Funko did do JoJo the Clownzilla, which I'm glad they did that particular character. It is in my collection. I actually was not going to get it originally because I don't understand why they did this as a standard size figure when it's Clownzilla. He should be a giant pop. He should be at least 6-inch, ideally maybe 10-inch as a figure. But yeah, they did a standard size pop, and the only reason it's in my collection is because of hot cash, basically. So it's basically like I didn't have to pay for this figure since I was already getting something else. Yeah, but I'm just not crazy about the scale. Also, I pointed out in a previous video that Baby Clown seems larger than it should be. It's actually larger than the standalone Fatso pop that came out. So there are some scale issues with the Killer Clowns, and I know that Funko Pops are not really to scale necessarily, but when you have just one particular collection focused on one particular property, it would be nice if the size of the characters made sense side by side. So that's what I'm getting at here. I still did like some of the things that happened with Killer Clowns. I did like the black light box that came out with GameStop, and I really did like the moment as well from Spirit Halloween. I thought that was pretty cool, so that's why that's in my collection. So yeah, I'm still gonna collect Killer Clowns, but I just hope that Funko pays attention to the scale of these figures. So moving away from the Scare Fair figures I was not crazy about, you see some of my other least favorite pops of 2023, including Kevin from She-Hulk. To me, this joke did not land in the series. There were a lot of jokes that did not work in that series. I don't hate on that series like some people. I think it does have some positives to it. It's not completely bad, but yeah, like I said, the Kevin thing just did not work for me. So when I saw that they were going to put this pop in the Marvel Collector Core, I knew right away it was not going to stay in my collection. And I think a lot of people are going to be trying to resell that figure. Basically, I just don't see it being a very popular figure. I also do want to point out here that, of course, Funko did these Valentine's Day pops where the pops are meant to look like chocolates that are being opened up. The first one that I saw was Princess Leia, and it was a close-up of the head sculpt, and it just didn't quite look right to me. I'm still not super crazy about these pops in general, these Valentine's pops. They are proving to be popular, though. Some of these pops have been pre-selling out on websites. Some people are snatching these up, so some people are into them. You know, the holiday pops do tend to be popular, so even though I'm not crazy about the look of them, I do see why Funko's doing them. They do sell, but it just, you know, for me personally, it's not something I would put into my collection. Funko also had a diamond Darth Vader, which I believe was available at Funko Hollywood, and it looks like they just dumped glitter all over it. I just don't like the look of that. I think glitter can work. You know, the diamond pops can work with some figures. Even with black figures, it can work because there is a diamond Batman in my collection, and I think they actually did it well that time. But this one does not work for me, especially when there's glitter all over the eyes and it's like clouding the redness of his eyes. I just don't like the look of that Darth Vader. It looks like I said, to me, you know, they just dumped glitter all over it. And then Corey Feldman is probably my least favorite Funko collaboration with a celebrity because, I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I know he has his fan base. For me personally, he just kind of annoys me how desperately he's trying to cling on to fame with some of the things he does, especially, you know, using the name of Michael Jackson and the friendship that he had with him to try to legitimize his own horrible music. I'm just not into that personally. And with his pop, I mean, if you really pay attention to the pop, you know that the head sculpt is not a new head sculpt. You know that the body is not a new body. Funko just kind of threw this pop together. And then, of course, Corey Feldman is charging big prices for it on his website, including his own diamond variant there. So, yeah, I'm just not crazy about that personally. You know, that's the way that I feel about it. Like, I'm not trying to tell anybody else how to feel about Corey Feldman, though. Now, this Quantumania moment, for one thing, the movie Quantumania, I was definitely not a fan of. I saw a lot of issues with that movie, and I definitely walked out of the theater disappointed. And I think that this moment is disappointing as well. So we have Ant-Man here shrinking down, which is a good idea. And I thought that the glam actually looked pretty good. But when you see the actual figure, you know, for me personally, it just doesn't quite work. It's not quite the effect that I was hoping for. It doesn't look as interesting. It's not a terrible moment, I would say. And I wouldn't blame any Ant-Man fan for picking this up. But for me, it was just kind of disappointing to see up close. I did see it in store. And yeah, I'm just not super crazy about it. So I don't know if I'll ever add this to my collection, even though I do have a good number of Ant-Man figures. At this point, I've been collecting for just over 8 years, and usually the most exciting time of the year for me is when a convention is coming up with Funko, because of course I know there's going to be a wide selection of exclusives. Now with 2023, I thought that it was kind of a boring year for conventions. I don't feel like there were a lot of figures that really grabbed my attention. Now, obviously, I did like some of the figures. I did add them to my collection, but overall, I was just not wowed by the conventions for 2023. And there were some issues with those conventions that I will touch on some of those issues here. Now, I do want to point out one of my favorite pops of the year, even though I don't have this set in my own collection. I think that Funko did a great job with the Fairly Odd Parents, which ended up being an SDCC shared exclusive. This was a confusing release though. At first, I think we couldn't really tell where this 3-pack was going to be. It ended up with Meijer, which I think is a retail chain that's mainly based in the Midwest. And Meijer did not release it right away at the time of the convention. Around the time of the convention, it kind of slowly rolled out. I don't think it was ever available on their actual official website. I think some did go up on Funko.com, and of course they went very quickly. But yeah, it was a little bit of an odd release there. And there were a lot of people that had FOMO. They worried about missing out on this particular 3-pack. So some people were paying around like $300 to get this, even with a shared sticker. Now things have really settled down with this 3-pack though. And now you actually can get it on the second market for a much lower price, a more reasonable price. You're still going to pay, you know, obviously for it because it is a highly sought after item still to an extent. But that value has come down a lot for this, and I hope that people that jumped on it and paid hundreds for it did kind of learn the lesson there to be patient sometimes, you know, give it time, and usually the values will come down for these types of figures. But again, you know, just looking at the 3-pack, I think Funko did a great job with it. And you know, we'll see what else they do with the Fairly Odd Parents. I'd be surprised if they don't do any common figures related to the series, but we'll see what happens though. Now, focusing on SDCC and Camp Fundays, there were definitely some issues, and I do not want to beat a dead horse. I think plenty of people on social media have spent a lot of time addressing the issues surrounding SDCC and Fundays. So like I said, I'm just going to touch on it very quickly. Now, for one thing, it wasn't completely bad. As far as Camp Fundays is concerned, there were some interesting figures. I did like the mascots, and I do think they look good together. I actually do have all 4 in my collection. As far as the Freddy Funkos are concerned, I think there were some standouts. I was really hoping that I would be able to get the Captain America, but didn't get that luck, so it's okay. You know, I don't have to have everything. Freddy Funko as Spooky Space Kook is kind of tough to say. That particular figure I think was really good looking. I think that's one of the better pops of the year. I know a lot of people were not crazy about Freddy Funko as Dwight, but I have a couple of Dwight Pops in my collection, and I really wanted that figure, and I was able to easily trade for it because it wasn't highly sought after, so I'm happy to have that in my collection. There were some other cool Freddy Funkos as well, like I said, but again, there were some issues surrounding the Fundays event. So for one thing, of course, some people ended up receiving the wrong pops for SDCC. You know, they got the wrong orders, basically. Even with the box, the Fundays box, some people did not get the right box. Definitely issues there. And some people ordered a Camp Fundays box and ended up with some random SDCC figures. So there was some confusion with the shipping. I don't know how widespread it was, but it definitely did happen. I did have an issue with that cheap bubble wrap that eBay used to ship out their Funko Pops. It kind of left like marks on the windows of Funko Pop boxes. So I think it was the question that I got from them, and I did not like how the box ended up looking. So I still don't trust eBay, you know, Funko's eBay shop. I'm not going to order from them because of that happening. And I actually did get another figure. I got it on the second market, and when it arrived, it had those same marks. So I was like, yeah, this must have come from eBay. So that's unfortunate there. But of course, the big issue surrounding this Fundays event was that people paid big money to go to the Fundays event, you know, to get exclusive figures, especially the Freddy Funkos, and then some of those same figures showed up in the box of fun. That absolutely should not happen. Funko did try to rectify that. I think they gave people another exclusive, but I don't think it was necessarily a new exclusive. I think they just got another one of the exclusives from the event. So not sure how satisfied people were with that solution there. Hopefully, though, moving forward with this convention, SDCC, and, you know, whatever Fundays event they put along with it, hopefully it will be better executed. Now, there is another pop that I have to point out, another Freddy Funko from Camp Fundays, and that is Freddy Funko as Shaggy, which they messed up the paint apps. You know, that's just what it comes down to. The little hairlines on his face are meant to represent the whiskers on his chin. With all the figures that I saw, they put that paint app way too high. So, you know, some people might say maybe it looks like a mustache in that way, but not really, because it curves, you know, the way it curves, it does look like it's meant to be on his chin. So, yeah, I just don't understand how that could happen with multiple pops. It happened with 3 variants of the Freddy Funko, and then it happened with the common Shaggy as well. Now, the Shaggy that you see there in the bottom right, that is an earlier Shaggy figure that was produced by Funko, and you see that the paint app is lower there for the hair on his chin. It looks better. So yeah, I just don't know why with some of them the hair app is so high up that it literally kind of like wraps around his nose. It just doesn't look right. So I hope Funko will kind of improve that quality control for those types of things with figures. And I know that sounds like I'm nitpicking, but I can't help it, you all. It did bug me. Now, focusing on New York Comic Con and the Heavy Metal Halloween event that happened along with that. I'm saying event, but it wasn't actually an in-person event. This was almost like an add-on to New York Comic Con. So they did have this Heavy Metal Halloween box. Again, I like the mascots. I actually did end up getting all of them together. I know that some people had some issues with the mascot. I have a friend that got a Jack Carver figure that literally has 2 left feet, or either 2 right feet. I just know it has 2 of the same feet on it. So it can't even be put on the stand, which is, again, quality control. I don't know how something like that happens. The big issue with Heavy Metal Halloween is that when they shipped these out, they had pops and sodas right next to each other, which caused a lot of box damage. Again, this is something that should not happen. And Funko has done boxes previously where they had dividers in there to separate the sodas and the pops. I think that should always be the case, so there's not a bunch of box damage. To this day, I really would like to get Freddy Funko as Mysterio. Mysterio is one of my favorite comic villains, but every time I look this figure up on the second market, I'm always seeing a lot of box damage. I'm trying to find one that's not completely damaged, but I may just have to go with one that is damaged because that's all that I am seeing. So again, Funko definitely could do better with shipping for these types of boxes. Also within those boxes for the conventions, as far as the sodas are concerned, we saw a lot of the same Freddy Funko and Proto being the dog, of course. We saw a lot of those same molds being reused over and over and over again. I'm so tired of seeing Freddy Funko throwing up his little peace sign. We get it. You want world peace. We get it. We don't need to see this over and over with so many different figures. And I really don't like them taking this same mold and just painting on the design to represent a character with not really doing anything with the mold to represent that character. For example, with the Batman figures, the cape is literally drawn on his back. And I know some people may say maybe that's meant to represent like a cheap Halloween costume, but I really would prefer an actual molded cape for those type of figures. Just a little bit more effort into these sodas, especially if Funko is going to continue to use those molds, at least mix them up in some way. Also with sodas in general, I know personally my interest has gone down, and I've seen a lot of people commenting saying that their interest in sodas has gone down because now we're getting these sodas that are not limited in number and they're on store shelves. And y'all, I've seen so many sodas opened up in stores. It's like a common thing that I see now. If I come across sodas, like I'm like, okay, let me see this time how many are going to be opened up, because people are opening them up looking for chases, and of course they don't see a chase, they just leave it behind. And I most recently saw this Miles Morales smashed up in a Target. Not only did somebody open it, it looks like they crushed the can as well. So I really feel like sodas should just be sold online, and I do think it matters more that they would have a limited count as well. I hope Funko will get back to that. Again, you know, we'll see what happens with that though. Now, as far as sodas are concerned, I don't want to completely put them down because I actually do like the 6-packs that Funko has been doing along with the coolers. The coolers are nice quality. You know, they're made by Loungefly, so they're not like a, you know, just toss aside item. The actual coolers themselves are pretty awesome. And I like some of the sets that they've done this far. I think the Peanut set is very cool. I haven't picked this one up. It's something I may get eventually because even though I'm not the biggest Peanuts fan, I love the look of these figures here. I think that the commons and the chases all look great. And I did get the X-Men 97 one that was gifted to me. I ended up with the Chase Storm, and I'm happy with that figure. I think the X-Men was a standout as well. So as far as the 6-pack soda coolers are concerned, I'm looking forward to seeing more of these from Funko. There's a lot that they could do there potentially. I've said it in the past, I'll say it again. I hope that they do one based around the Incredibles. I think that would be pretty awesome. Now with NFTs, y'all, and NFTs is another topic that I just don't want to beat to death. So many people have shared their opinions about NFTs, and like I said, I just don't want to go on and on and on about it. I think for the most part, I've not seen NFT, you know, physical figures that I would really want to have in my collection. I do think it's, you know, it is a negative sometimes when they do a character that has not been done as a common. But as far as the NFT waves are concerned, I think this was a standout, the Funko Ween series, because it's mainly focusing on Freddy Funko. There's the proto figure as well. And of course, these are zombified figures, some really nice scopes to them. I don't have to have these in my collection. I'm not stressing over it. I'm definitely not going to pay a high, you know, second market price to get any of these figures, but I do appreciate the details with them. And like I said, this was a standout NFT wave for me. Now, I do have a recent, actually more than one, but I did want to point out this particular figure. I do have an NFT physical pop in my collection of the Crooked Man, and this is one of my favorite Funko Pops of the year. I was really hoping that they would do the Crooked Man. I think this pop turned out really well. And I had a viewer that was nice enough to sell this to me at a very reasonable price. And y'all, in general, on the second market, I think you can, if you really search around, you can find this at a reasonable price. But if you don't want to do that, you don't have to go second market, because if the rumor is true, it does seem like there is going to be a common Crooked Man on the way, maybe even as a 6-inch figure or larger than that. You know, we'll see what happens with it. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that particular figure. But yeah, this is a standout in my collection. I really like this Crooked Man figure. And I did want to shout out as well this Jordy figure based on the character from Creepshow that was played by Stephen King. Oddly enough, I've not seen this figure in stores yet, and I think it was on Amazon, but I think then it wasn't listed, so I haven't caught up to it yet. But I definitely want to add this figure to my collection. As far as horror goes, I think this is a standout figure. I really like the look of it, so yeah, I definitely got to get this in the collection soon enough. The Voodoo Ranger, in terms of ad icon figures, was definitely a standout for me. And it's really because the mascot just has a cool design. So Funko just had to be true to that design and they would have an awesome pop. And that's exactly what happened. And like a lot of people, I saw a lot of people saying, I don't know what Voodoo Ranger is. I wasn't familiar with it either. This is not a brand that I'm really familiar with, but I think this is just a standout pop because it does have such a cool design. It's very colorful. And I know there are some collectors, because people have said it, that they picked up this figure without even really knowing the brand just because they think the figure looks so cool. And of course, with 2023, we got Michael Jackson Pops again, which I'm surprised I didn't even hear like more fanfare around that, because people have been saying for years that they want to see more Michael Jackson Pops. Of course, there are the older vaulted figures that you can try to track down, but you're probably going to pay a pretty penny for those, and it might be tough to find any of those without box damage. But yeah, we have these new ones, and I think Funko is doing a great job with these figures. My personal standout is the Michael Jackson Thriller Pop album, which oddly enough, I haven't picked that one up yet either, but it is one I do want to add into my collection eventually. I do have the other ones here. I do have the actual Thriller Pop. I do have the Smooth Criminal one. Definitely had to get the Smooth Criminal one. That's one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs. There's the Diamond one, you know, that released recently that a lot of people went for. It actually sold out at one point, but then it got restocked. It might even still be available on Funko.com. So yeah, Funko is doing some great things with Michael Jackson, and I do look forward to seeing what else they're going to do with Michael Jackson in 2024. We already know that there is the Super Bowl Michael Jackson that's about to drop. May even be showing up in stores already, who knows. But yeah, they're doing a lot of great things. I look forward to seeing what else they're going to do. Another great collaboration that Funko has going on, in my opinion, is their collaboration with Snoop Dogg. Of course, there was the Doghouse in Inglewood, California. That location is closed up now because it was meant to be just a pop-up store. So I think it was open for like a year or so, maybe. But there have been a lot of awesome Snoop Dogg figures, and that is going to continue on into 2024. They're still working with Snoop Dogg, even though that particular location has closed. But the Snoop Dogg with the hoodie is one of my favorites. And again, it's another figure I don't have in my collection yet, but I do intend to get it. And if some of you are wondering why I don't have some of these figures in my collection, it's mainly because as Christmas is approaching, I just do less shopping for myself and I really focus on gift giving. But you know, now that the holidays are out of the way, I will be getting back into focusing on some of the figures that I want to try to add into my collection. And like I said, Snoop Dogg with hoodie is definitely one that I want to go for. I do like to drop it like it's hot Snoop Dogg as well, and that's actually a jumbo figure, which is pretty cool. I would like to get that into the collection. I did get the Super Bowl gold figure of Snoop Dogg, and I think that's one of the best gold figures. I really like that figure. I'm very glad to have it in the collection. It's actually a 12-inch figure as well, so it's like a standout piece within the collection. So yeah, I really do like that. And like I said, Funko's doing a lot of great things with Snoop Dogg. Now, as far as Goku is concerned from Demon Slayer, he's one of my favorite anime characters, really just one of my favorite characters in general. So, of course, I was very happy that Funko was going to do the figure. I think the figure turned out well. They do have a glow-in-the-dark variant. That's the one that I waited on. It was shared with Walmart, and I did track it down eventually. There's some floating around with the international sticker. To me, that sticker doesn't really make a difference, you know. But, yeah, I do like the Goku pop. Now, you might notice here on the screen, I have a thumbs up and I have a thumbs down. And here's the reason why. There's a jumbo version of it that is available with Target as a Target exclusive, and I was thinking about adding that to my collection as well, even though I already have the glow-in-the-dark standard size version. But every jumbo Goku that I've seen has a sloppy paint job, especially around the belt. It literally looks like it was painted with whiteout. It just does not look good. So that's disappointing to see. And I've seen plenty of jumbo figures that have nice paint jobs, so I just feel like there's not really an excuse with that. That's a little bit disappointing to see. But regardless, I do like the glow-in-the-dark Goku figure that I have, and I really hope that Funko will do a battle pose Goku, maybe even a battle damage Goku. I hope they do more with the character, maybe even Goku eating as well. That would be kind of funny to see, and I know they've done other anime pops like that, so still a lot of potential with Goku for the future. Yet another figure that I have not picked up just yet, but I do plan to get in the near future. This glow-in-the-dark Mitsuri, again from Demon Slayer. I think this, the standard pop already looks pretty cool, but this figure actually does really have a nice glow to it. So yeah, this is just another standout pop to me personally for the year. One of my favorites that I will definitely add to my collection. Now, yo, Black Clover, I am not familiar with this franchise. I have not checked out the series at all. But if I had to choose like one particular wave that stands out in terms of design for 2023, I think Black Clover is clearly a standout wave of figures. These are very impressive, and of course they have exclusives in the mix as well. Just in terms of designs, the effects with them, yeah, these are some really awesome looking pops. So I would hope that if anybody is a fan of Black Clover, that they've been pretty excited and pretty pleased with these pops that have come out related to that franchise. Here's a couple of random pops that stood out for me. I guess the first two are not too random since they're both Marvel, but we do have here Peter B. Parker with Mayday, which was a Hot Topic exclusive. I really like the character. I think his design is pretty funny that they went with for Across the Spider-Verse. So yeah, I really like that pop. I did grab that one from Hot Topic. You also see the King Daredevil here, which when I first saw this revealed, I went ahead and put a pre-order for it. Really like the design of Daredevil. Even though I'm not familiar with the King Daredevil storyline, I still like the look of that figure. This Eric Draven, the Crow pop, is pretty awesome in my opinion. I think it's like the quintessential Crow pop because of course he has the crow landing on his wrist. He's got the guitar on his back. He's stepping through the flames there, and it's a glow in the dark Hot Topic exclusive. Very cool figure there. I don't have that one in my collection, but it's one that I might pick up eventually. Now the Hakuna Matata Lion King moment, well, this was shared with Walmart. This is one of those standout moments where I feel like even if somebody is not really a Funko collector, if they see this in the store and they are a big fan of the Lion King, they might be willing to pick this up. And y'all, we really need things like this that are going to grab the attention of people that are not hardcore collectors, because Funko and any other company is not going to survive just on their hardcore fan base. You know, we need other people to get interested. So yeah, like I said, this is one of those standout moments that I think would attract a lot of attention, and it's very well done. I especially like their eyes being closed there. I think that adds a lot of attitude to the figures. I'm a big fan of Corpse Bride, so I was very happy to see this deluxe set here having the main characters together, including the dog there as well. It's a really nice base. I love the way that they did the base there. So yeah, very happy with the way this turned out. This was a Spirit Halloween exclusive. I think it was available on Amazon as well. You could definitely track this down if you're interested in it, but I'm very happy to have this in my collection, especially like I said, being such a big fan of the movie. I think the best moment though is this Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark moment, of course, with the Boulder Escape. This is just such an iconic movie moment, and I think Funko executed it very well. Now, it is another case where the initial glams don't really match up with the way that it turned out, but I don't think that's a big deal. The only major difference is in the initial glams, I think they made it look like in the box it would be facing forward, but when you see the actual box, it is turned to the side. Not a big deal at all, because you still can see it very well in box. But if this, you know, was in my collection, I definitely would take it out of the box. I think you really would want to see all the details to it. And again, it's one of those things that even if somebody is not a hardcore collector, it's going to grab their attention because it is just such an iconic moment. I do want to give a shout out to these One Piece figures. Again, I don't really follow One Piece. I've checked it out a little bit, but I don't really follow One Piece. But when I'm shopping in stores and I see Big Mom with Homies here, which is a Galactic Toys exclusive, but I have seen it on store shelves. I think I've seen it in Books A Million. It just grabs my attention because it is so colorful and such a crazy design. So it's not one that I would add to my collection, but it is very cool looking. And I think one of the standout figures for the year is the Yamato figure here, which was a Funko.com exclusive, and it did have the Chase variant. I think both of the figures look really awesome, and I think it is cool that they actually changed her body position there with the Chase to make the Chase stand apart a little bit more. And then of course the Chase has that really awesome mask going on. Not familiar with the character, you know, I don't know all the details of it, but this was definitely a standout of the year and a very highly sought after figure as well. I think even the non-Chase goes for a pretty penny on the second market because so many people want this in their collection. Now, I do have to give a shout out to this Pop Asia figure as well, even though I'm not sure how many people have actually been able to get their hands on it, especially here in the States. I'm not sure if it's been available here in the States just yet, but this is a really awesome design here, this Dragon Dance figure. It just blew me away the first time that I saw it. I was like, yeah, this is definitely a standout for the year. I'm kind of giving it like an honorable mention just because, again, like I said, I don't know how many people actually have it. So some people may look at it as a 2024 release. I'm not mad at it if that's the way that you view it, but I think it did technically release at least at a convention in Asia. So yeah, I'm giving props here to the Dragon Dance. Like I said, I think it's one of the best designs of the year. If I had to name my absolute favorite Funko Pop for 2023, it would be this Funko.com exclusive Shinobu figure. Of course, this being another character from Demon Slayer. You can tell I'm a big fan of Demon Slayer, of course. But it's not just about being a fan of the series. I think this pop is really well done. The base looks awesome, you know, with those butterflies and them being translucent there. The figure is very colorful, very true to the character. It represents her so well. Love that she actually does have her sword in hand, ready to be used there, you know, sort of an action pose, that leaping pose going on. All around, I think this was a really well done figure. I don't think I got it with the initial drop, but I did catch up to it. Very glad to have it in the collection. So yeah, this is my absolute #1 favorite pop for 2023. So y'all, those are some of my thoughts based on 2023. Like I said, I wasn't trying to cover every single thing that happened with Funko. I think I did cover a lot in this video though. And now I definitely want to hear your own thoughts. What do you think about Funko's performance for 2023? What do you think were the highs? What were the lows? What were your favorite pops? What were your least favorite pops? Definitely share those details with me. I'm considering doing a video focusing on some pops that I hope to see made in 2024. It's been a while since I've done that. If you would be interested in seeing that, let me know in the comments. If enough people would, that, you know, say they would want to check that out, then maybe that is a video that I will work on. But again, like I said, I really look forward to reading your comments and hearing your thoughts about Funko in 2023. Thank you all so much for taking the time to check this video out, and I will talk to you all again real soon.